It's interesting that the ark stopped in the middle of the river.
Yeah.
And waited until everyone was over.
Right.
And as soon as they were on the other side, their feet lifted up out of the sand or whatever it was, then the water.
Then the waters kept flowing, that release. You know, if you and I would see this today, what would we think? It's a miracle. Okay? Well, it is a miracle.
And the people that prepare for this crossing, it was obedience, following the word of God.
That's right. And it was the trust. It was that obedience. It was, and what was God trying to show these people? That he could do the impossible. He could do the impossible. He could do things that they couldn't even conceive.
Actually, all through it, God showed it to them, but you know, they forgot so often. And I often wondered what the people, well, it actually put fear in the people's heart that saw what was happening because, you know, they had never seen such before. And to know that the God of Israel could do such miracles, just, I'm sure them was mind-boggling, but yes, they feared.
Okay. Well, yeah, the inhabitants of Canaan, that was part of this, was to show them that the God of the Israelites was all-powerful.
Because lesson says he needs to be our commander.
Yeah,
And God still is today.
yeah.
The other nations around them, Mrs. White brings out that they made fun of the God of Israel because they said he didn't bring them out to the Canaan land. So they were making fun of him. And this was a way to tell the nation, I still am in charge.
Yeah, they're still in charge. You know, I like that piece about making fun of. They found out that wasn't the right thing to do.
Well, the
Right.
children of Israel had seen miracles before. The older ones had seen the Red Sea parted. They'd seen manna every day. They'd seen the pillar of fire and smoke.
Yeah.
Who hadn't seen the miracles? The people on the other side of the river. And I guess they were watching it this time.
Yeah.
They're saying, what's going to happen now?
Well, if you think about it, there's this big group running around out here in the desert for 40 years. And I imagine there were spies coming and looking at what's happening out here. Why are these people out here? Because if you look at the number of people that had come out of Egypt, it was a massive number. And it was probably as bigger than some of these countries or groups that were in the land of Canaan. They wanted to know what was going on out there, but they were laughing. So this going into the land of Canaan, how long it had been since Abraham had been promised the land?
Over 400 years.
400 years. Well over, yeah. And so this was the fulfillment of one of God's promises. Now think about that. And kind of jumping ahead a little bit, what are we promised? Abraham was promised something to go into the promised land. What are we promised?
Another promised land. But it's going to be eternal. It's something that won't pass away.
Okay. But there was over 400 years, and we were promised, and so we can we can be sure that our promise is also good. The memorial of those 12 stones, what was its purpose?
For their children,
For their children?
to understand and recognize what had been done, what God had done.
Yeah,
Each new generation.
each generation.
So it was
So
another-
what happened?
It was another occasion for this reminding business for their children, all their descendants, one, first generation, second, third, whatever, remind them and tell them, here's evidence of what God did for us.
Remember the crossing of the Jordan and how God had done the impossible. And
That God is ahead of us. It's
God's ahead of us.
You know, He's leading us, He's out there.
so why didn't that work?
Why didn't what work?
Why didn't that memorial work that they remembered what God had done for them? That may be a rhetorical question. It's something to ponder, and I know it's something to ponder, is why didn't it work?
You know,
Okay.
even in my own life, remembering is not necessarily enough. I can remember things I'm supposed to do, but that doesn't mean that I'll do them.
That's right.
But it's good to have that reminder
Yeah, it's,
to start.
that's why the stop sign is at the corner. Some people do it and some people don't.
You know, we have memorials here in the United States that are to remind us how important those that sacrifice their life for our freedom.
Yeah,
And right now, we have individuals that either don't care, don't know, or don't want to know.
yeah,
But I was just reading about the military personnel that marched at the
oh, Tomb of the Unknown?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Tomb of the Unknown and the strict.
Oh, yeah.
We think reading about what the Israelites were required to do, the strict program that they're on,
Yeah,
what steps to march, when to turn, how long before they turn, where they live for 2 years, and
But-
what they have to give up, not just for the time that they're in that position, but for a lifetime.
yeah. That to me is the amazing part about what they do. They give up alcohol for the lifetime. Yeah, it's an amazing, good analogy. Yeah, they give up things because they believe in it. Yeah,
Later on in Judges, often it seems to be a recurring problem is that another generation would come along and didn't know God.
yes,
And then they would backslide, they'd bring, you have to bring the judge along to get it back in line. And then it seems like one generation was continually not telling the next generation who God was.
but these were memorials to God and what He had done. Just like the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a memorial. And that remembrance, yeah, they kept forgetting. And that was back to that rhetorical question. Why did they keep forgetting?
Well, I think disobedience, separates us from God, and then we become, anesthetized to what He wants us to do.
Yeah. But God keeps putting these things right in front of us
And that's because He loves us.
because He loves us.
Yes.
But why do we keep forgetting?
life.
Yeah,
And, we are all sinful. Our sinful nature
yeah.
can get so distracted from what is important in life.
It talks about they kept slipping into idolatry. They kept looking, I would say looking across the fence, the greener pasture, and everything that the other civilizations had at that time, the other tribes had at that time. And they looked and they saw, and I don't know why, but I do know why. It's like Larry said, it's our sinful nature that draws us away and we forget God. You know, looking at the gods of, Marduk and Baal and what they were going through, and why would the children of Israel look back and go to that and leave everything that God had given them?
But
Go ahead.
I think it begins with taking our eyes off of God,
Yeah.
not following the ways that He tells us to, and if you wander very long, you've lost your way.
Yeah,
And let's not forget, there's an evil one that's just anxious to give us all kinds of
it's
distractions.
putting all this stuff in front of us. And the children of Israel, they seem to succumb to that continually.
Well, as you go, continue on in the book of Joshua, he told them with one of the cities not to take any of the goods.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the tribes took stuff, and he destroyed that whole tribe of Israel.
Yeah.
Destroyed them. But then, he's such a loving God. He's so merciful. And all he wants to do is save us. He wants us, to be part of his heavenly kingdom.
Yeah.
And as you go through Joshua, there were 31 kings that were killed, and their cities were destroyed, one after another. How could Israel not understand and see how God was leading, and that he was so a commander. He was in charge.
And when they followed God's instructions, they were successful.
Yes.
When they didn't follow God's instructions, they were not successful.
It's if you do this, then this is going to happen. It's the if or then this is going to happen. God also tells us where we need to be, but if we don't, then this is going to happen.
The consequences of that action. Yeah.
And their lifestyle had changed drastically from wandering through the desert to being settlers, learning to set up communities.
Yeah.
And that would be mind-boggling to the challenges to navigate through.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stress. Good, Larry.
And then we fast forward and continuing of this question that you asked, to the Israelites with Samuel as their judge and God as their king. And they decided they wanted to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's how Saul stepped into the picture.
And then you get the human leader versus the God.
Mm-hmm. So I think as I'm pondering this, if you just take two people, two families, one family follows the directive that we see here is teach your children. And the parents are an example of that, because a lot of children are watching and go, well, mom and dad don't have to do that, why is it important to me?
Yeah.
And so you have one family where that is done and they continue following God, and you have another family where it's very casual and doesn't get done. And where do they go?
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing issue.
Yeah, and it comes down to following God's advice or not. And
Even in what seems to be small things, oh, this is,
this doesn't count anymore. It doesn't, you bring it into today's,
Expand on what you just said right there, is that some people, us included,
right,
for years, 60 years,
yeah,
follow God. When you start following God, and your children look at you going, what are you doing? 60 years you haven't done, now we're supposed to follow you? Wait a minute,
yeah,
what are you out of your mind?
yeah.
You know,
I-
It's
yeah.
hard to go to that hump, if you ever will.
And Solomon is a case in point. He followed God at the beginning, sorry. Sorry, Gail, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the evil one uses every tiny opportunity to invade.
Yeah. We have a strong adversary.
Yes.
You know, I can relate to some of that because, you know, when I was a teenager, I thought, wow, I really want to see the other side of the fence. Because I want to see, you know, what they're doing, I think would like to do the same thing. And yet it isn't that God had not done a lot for me because basically I had, before penicillin came out, I really had a very severe bone disease. I God had helped so that I was able to get penicillin even when it was not available
Yeah.
to at least put it in a rest. But yet, you know, I looked at the other side and the things they did, the things they wore, and I really, as a teenager, I struggled with it because I wanted to see the other side of the things.
Room Springer.
The other side of the fence did a lot. They were having a good time,
Yeah.
and they weren't. It's just, you know, you can't look at other people. You have to look at God.
It's a personal relationship we have to have with God that brings those together. Back to the lesson. Go ahead.
In no other time that we can think of in the Bible stories was there a conquering of a city like Jericho. I mean, the people probably thought, I can't understand what these people are doing quietly. The only thing there was a noise was the trumpets.
And the marching.
But
Yeah.
the marching, and then the last day, they were to shout. But if you have the notes, you read in the notes
Yeah.
that said that the people on the walls, the Jericho people, could see the Shekinah glory on top of the ark.
Yeah.
That must have been amazing.
But who else was it an example to? The children of Israel. You think about that. They came through the Jordan River, and then they took Jericho. They didn't have to draw their swords. They didn't have to wrestle and fight.
But explicit instructions
Yeah,
on what to do for 7 days.
yeah. But very simple. God would take care of it. God would take care of them if they followed those very specific instructions.
Can you imagine that many people being quiet? That's what God told them to do.
That's exactly what God told them to do. And evidently they did it. And that should have showed them something. And there's a good analogy for what we should be doing. So, you know, long ago, you know, and I've got to get through this. I have to tell you, I didn't pick up my quarterly until this morning. So I couldn't highlight my notes because we've been gone for a few weeks. And so I highlighted it in here. So it seems like the Israelites had a memory problem. They couldn't remember what God had instructed them to do. So God had set up memorials. One of them was, goes clear back to the Sabbath. The other was the Passover. And they celebrated that. But it got to be a ritual. And they forgot the meaning. When I think about communion, we really need to think about the meaning of that and why we do it.
Baptism is a memorial too.
Baptism is a memorial. It's a commitment. And why do we do it? Why do we do all that?
Remember, it's not that one person necessarily forgets, it's corporately as a group.
Corporately we forget.
The memory slips, as old ones that don't die, young ones that don't know come along, eventually
Yeah.
the population's changed over to a group that don't remember. And this is where, as a teacher, I get really concerned. They did a survey back in 1960 about who was most important in kids' lives. Top of the list, parents, grandparents, relatives. They did the same survey in 1980, 45 years ago. TV, radio. I'm thinking nowadays, in most households, parents don't even register on the radar anymore,
Yeah.
on any level.
Yeah.
They wonder why the kids are the way they are. We as a generation have not inculcated stuff over to the next generation.
The value, the value.
And I mean, we have this today, our young people are spending time on this, and it's not just young people, but we're talking about influencers.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually given that label.
Yeah.
Influencers trying to influence people to do a particular thing.
Yeah.
When parents have asked me, what can they do to make sure the kids get a good education, let's say?
Yeah.
In a public setting. I say, well, you've got to be the biggest, baddest influence in your kid's life. Nothing else can be in front of you in your relationship to your kid.
Yeah.
Period. I think that's possible.
We also have kind of a mob attitude. I mean, we can have the best of intentions, but when we get pressure within a group, then sometimes we kick in.
I like that one, the mob attitude. We go along, we tend to go along with crowds. And you see that a lot today. And, yeah.
We have a No Kings rally in Redmond today.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, the King's Rally. So, one thing in Judges, they brought up, and I like this term, spiritual amnesia. We forget. We have spiritual amnesia. We forget.
Yeah, in testimonies on Friday, it says modern Israel are in greater danger of forgetting God and being led into idolatry than were his ancient people.
Yeah. And if we have that warning to us, we have all kinds of things. The devil's after us. There was a thing after Joshua, it says after Joshua's death, and this is Judges 2:10, did not know the Lord nor the work which he had done for Israel. They had forgotten. They'd forgotten.
Do you think that perhaps some of that forgetting was because there were so many people?
I don't think it was so many people. It's kind of like Larry just brought up. The trick is, how many people do you see walking down the street that doesn't have one of these in their hand? It's driving me crazy. So I'm starting now. I leave it in the car. Pretty soon, I'm going to leave it at home. And because remember when your phone used to be on the wall? And we had no answering machines? Jane?
Just this week, I heard that all the big tech owners, Gates and all, they do not allow their children more than an hour and a half a week on their
Oh, yeah.
devices.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's Zuckerberg or, Bill Gates, you name them, they do not allow their children on.
Yeah. Screen time, yeah,
Only an hour and a half a week.
yeah.
Well, our generations, not our generation, but generation following us are not going to be able to communicate because they could be sitting right beside each other, talking to each other on the phone,
Yeah.
texting.
You were a teacher, Larry's, any other teachers in here?
We're still,
Oh, I know, yeah. Past teachers? One thing I learned to do in school was write and make my letters. My granddaughter is going for her master's and then PhD. And she writes better than any doctor I'd ever seen. She scribbles and scratches, and it's like, I can't believe it. But
you sit in college for 6 years or 8 years, and your handwriting's getting pretty lousy.
it does. Back to this. It says, thus the children of Israel did not remember the Lord their God, who had delivered them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. And this is Judges 8:34. The result was apostasy in the form of idolatry. And idolatry is the natural outcome of spiritual forgetfulness. So, look at the idolatry that we have in front of us today. It's all around us. And it's amazing.
I was reading, I think it was in Isaiah. Man cuts down a cedar tree, gets heat out of the cedar tree, makes food out of the cedar tree, the heat that it generates and everything. Then he carves an image and worships it.
Yeah.
Not the same tree.
Uh-huh.
You might as well be eating ashes,
Yeah.
It's amazing what we
Yeah. I like that, the heat.
Well, speaking of idolatry, just quickly, it seems that we don't put people on pedestals anymore. We don't have idols made out of human hands, but ideology has become an idol.
Ideology has become an idol.
And you think about the split
I
of
had
families and communities and in the nation and beyond.
I had somebody say something about movie stars, and I just had picked up a book, and it was the title, The God of the Stars, and it was about astronomy and the stars, and I said, no, God only made these stars. Those people aren't stars. You really think about it. If somebody says, well, that's quoted as a movie personality or a news personality, if they say something, it's true, it's far from that. Very, very far from that.
It seems to me like this remembering and so forth. When we go to bed, we expect waking in the morning refreshed and invigorated. And we are counseled to, in the morning, the first thing, think of Jesus and praise Him, and we'll come to worship Him. If we do that, put Him first in the morning, it's going to help us all day long. Otherwise, we get distracted, we start going down the trail and doing this first. Oh, I got to do this today first.
Our dog, it's actually Bonnie's dad's dog that we now have. That dog has started something in our house. No, it's crated, And every morning, about between 4:30 and 5:30, the dog barks. We jump out of bed. It wakes us up. We rush out there to take it out of its crate and open the front door and run outside. And you know, that's been the best thing for us, because what it does is it gets us up. We go outside, and where we live, we have the most beautiful view of the stars. And they have been absolutely fantastic. My newest extension of my photography hobby is I've got a telescope, and I've been waiting for clear nights so we can start taking pictures of nebulas and that kind of stuff, which are beautiful. But you think about that. God created that. But that little dog has got us up. It's been about 3 months, 4 months now. We get up, and we're out in the morning looking up. And it has been fantastic. One thing Delwyn directed me to, and he said he'd like me to cover it before we finish today, which is going to be in a couple minutes. Study carefully the experiences of Israel in their travels to Canaan. Study the 3rd and 4th chapters of Joshua, recording their preparation for and the passage over Jordan into the promised land. We need to keep the heart and the mind in training by refreshing the memory of the lessons that the Lord taught his ancient people. Then to us, as he designed it should be to them, the teachings of his word will ever be interesting and impressive. And this is Ellen White in the Bible commentary. Modern Israel are in greater danger of forgetting God and being led into idolatry than were his ancient people. Many idols are worshipped. Even professed Sabbath keepers, God especially, charged his ancient people to guard against idolatry. For if they should be led away from serving the living God, his curse would rest upon them. While if they would love him with all their heart, with all their soul, and with all their might, he would abundantly bless them in a basket in the store and would remove sickness from the midst of them. And this is in Testimonies to the Church from Ellen White. So we have our memorials. God has given us things to remember: Sabbath, communion, and we need to remember what those are for and why, and that we should guard against them. Should we bow our heads? Father in heaven, we thank you for your words. Help us to remember them and remember the monuments. We ask that you be with us the rest of this Sabbath. Be with Pastor John as he brings us the message. And again, help us to have a beautiful Sabbath and enjoy your works. We ask it in your name. Amen. And thank you.